Hi everyone, Sebastian here. So today I want to talk about the differences and the similarities between the micro cables and the micro pulley cables. The pulley cable, pulley being the key differentiator over here. So I'm going to start with the micro. Lacey's going to come in a few minutes. We're going to show you a bunch of exercises and then you guys can make the decision if you want to buy the cables or which one you want to buy or if you want to buy them both. Okay? And then we're going to show that on the micro and the micro pro. I'm going to start with the micro first. So when I created the micro, the whole idea was to have just a platform and a carriage and then just use the machine on its own without any accessories, right? You could do your wheelbarrow, your bear, your lunges, your skating. And essentially the whole idea was for you to grab your light portable compact machine to pull it from under the couch or under your bed and do a quick and dirty Lagree workout. That was the whole idea. Quick 20, 25 minutes, only Lagree's essentials. So we released the micro March 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. And what happened? Everybody wanted the micro, but the micro was not enough. So many of you went out there, you went on Amazon, you went on Alibaba, and you started to accessorize the micro on your own. And the problem was that I didn't know how well these accessories were made, and I didn't want to have any issues with you attaching the wrong cables to the machine, the cable snapping, and you falling off, and honestly, me getting sued for it, okay? So I decided, okay, if you guys want the cables, we'll add the cables. But remember, the micro was not designed with any cables in mind, so don't be mean, okay? So we added the micro cable. So the first obvious choice was to make a pair of ropes, okay, or cables that you can attach to the ring of fire. And this is essentially what you have over here, right? The micro cable has different attachments, but essentially when you use the cable, you have to use it this way. You can't use the micro cables that way. You have to pull against the tension. So this is going to limit the amount of exercise you can do, and it's also going to force you to adapt the movement that you would do on the Mega or on the Mini, on the micro, okay? Now, I want you to know that we have no cables for the Mega or the Mini that attaches on the carriage itself. The cables that you find on the Mega, on the Mini, are attaching at the back of the machine, and this is what now you have the micro pulley cable. So these micro pulley cables work exactly like the pulley cables that you find on the Mega, on the Mini. Now, before you rush to the Lagree shop and buy your cables, know this, on the Mini and on the Mega, the carriage is much bigger. So when you do your exercise using the cables, you can only do exercise this way, not that way. And look at me, I'm 6'4". There's no way I can lay on the carriage. Lacey's gonna come in, she's a little shorter than me, and same thing, there's a lot of exercise that she cannot do laying on the carriage, right? So because of that, you have to adapt the exercise. So most of the exercise you find in the Lagree Fitness library can be adapted, but you have to be creative, okay? Because the big difference between the carriage, between the micro and the Mini and the Mega is the carriage size, okay? Now, when I designed the Micro Pro, I got the message. You want the cables. When I designed the Micro Pro, I designed it with the micro pulley cable in mind, and when you buy the Micro Pro, it comes already with it, okay? So the micro pulley cables are already included with the purchase of the Micro Pro. And same thing over here, you can use these cables to do many movements, but again, there are going to be some movements that you will not be able to do simply because the carriage is too small, okay? And also because of the direction of the cable. So in that situation, that case, then you're going to have to also buy the micro cables for your Micro Pro, okay? So now I'm going to invite Lacey to come in, and then we're going to demo, the exercise. How are you, Lacey?
Great.
Great. Thank you very much. So this is Senior Master Trainer Lacey. And now, Lacey, let's show some exercise. We're going to start with the basic, all right? We're going to show a chest opener, okay? It is freezing here, by the way. So today, Lacey's been shooting with me all day yesterday, so I'm going to start her easy. So we do the chest opener, okay? So the first chest opener that we're going to do the way you guys know, okay? So if, for example, I'm going to keep the micro cables attached over here, But for the chest opener is a kneeling exercise that Lacey can do. So for that one, she can actually use the MicroPulley cables. She can kneel on the carriage. But again, you know, it's not really meant for the cable, so it's going to feel very unstable because the carriage is very small, right? So you can do your chest opener on the micro using the MicroPulley cables, right? So the spring is going to be a little different because the carriage is much lighter. So the weight on the carriage on the Mega is about 66 pounds. This is 15 pounds. So it's a huge difference in weight. And that means that the carriage is going to be way more unstable, way more responsive. So over here, Lacey is doing the chest opener using the MicroPulley cable. If you don't have the MicroPulley cables at home, but you bought the micro cables, no problem. Let's grab the other cable. And now we're going to go on the back end, right? Because if you do a chest opener, the tension has got to come in front of you. So here, no problem. For the chest opener, whether you have the micro cables or the MicroPulley cables, you can do both exercises, right? And that's going to be true for the sexy back. It's going to be true for some shoulder exercise, but it's not true for all the exercises, okay? And that's kind of what I want you to realize. Right now, Lacey and I are shooting all the exercises for all the machines, and we've shot so far about a little bit over 1,900 exercises. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, we're going to go to 3,000, so there's going to be a lot of movements, and then we're going to show you almost every single variations you can do with those cables. So a lot of cable exercises are coming to Lagree on demand, and you can see for yourself which one of the cables is best for you, or again, if you want to buy them both, right? So that's a chest opener. Let's do the real delt we did yesterday, right? You sit on your knees, you kind of pull right over here. So for this example, for this exercise, for example, I think the micro cables are very good because the micro cable are essentially in line with the range of motion, right? So this is perfect. And you know, Lacey has like a black spring over here. And that's perfect. And you can see over here, again, she's going to benefit from the springs, from the range of motion, from the cable, and pretty much any exercise like chest opener. We can do sexy back if you want to, show the sexy back. Same thing over here. Now, when you use the micro cable and you are now on the back of the machine, because obviously, you know, you can't really do it. I mean, for this exercise, Lacey can, but I wouldn't be able to do that. Here, she's on the floor. She's not going to get the core stability that you would get on the micro, okay? So, perfect demonstration. Let's do these two exercises using the MicroPulley cables. We'll put this on the floor over here, and now she's getting on her knees. I want to show you this exercise. Now, Lacey can do these movements, no problem, because she has very strong body awareness. I wouldn't be able to do this exercise because what was going to happen is my legs are going to drown on the floor. I would have to lift my feet up so high that it's going to completely take away from the exercise. But Lacey over here, she can fit, okay? And how tall are you, Lacey?
5'5".
5'5", okay? So you're 5'5", you can pretty much use the carriage. If you're 5'5", you have more exercise you can do on the micro using the MicroPulley cable. But if you're 6'4" like me, I can't think of any exercise I can actually do sitting on the micro. So your answer is going to be between 5'5" and 6'4", okay? But here over here, she's doing chest opener, sexy back. Now she'll do the real delt, and then basically the same exercise. So now here, in this configuration, using the MicroPulley cable, Lacey will get the core stability that she gets on the Mini or on the Mega, okay? You will not get the core stability using the micro cables, but it doesn't mean that, you know, it's not a good accessory. All right. Now here's some exercise that I want to show you that, for example, you couldn't be doing with the MicroPulley cable. So a lot of you like to do exercise like, for example, the ab crunch. Okay. So if you want to do an ab crunch that you would do laying on your back on the Mega or on the Mini Pro, you can't do it over here because even at 5'5" now, Lacey cannot fit on that carriage. In order for her to do an ab crunch using the cables on the micro, she would have to be 1 foot tall, like literally like a Smurf. Okay, it's not going to happen. So let's show how we can adapt a carriage exercise on the floor. And then over here we have a stack mat. So I highly recommend those mats. By the way, if you buy the micro, I highly recommend this mat because what you're going to do, you're going to use, if you want to do arm exercise using the cables, you're going to have to use the floor. You're going to have to integrate the floor into your routine. And depending on where you work out, the floor might not be nice. So those stack mats over here, I love them. So let's show them an ab exercise. You're going to use the handles over here for the micro cables. And you're going to turn around. And then all these exercises are already shot on Lagree On Demand. And then Lacey is going to essentially lay on her back. She's going to pretend that this is the carriage. And she's going to pretend that these are the MicroPulley cables. Lay flat on the back, exactly. So now, imagine if you're on the Mega, you have the MicroPulley cables, you grab the handles, and then now, again, you can just do all the exercises that you would do on the carriage, with the exception that you are on the floor. So you're not going to have the movement back and forth with the carriage. You're not going to get that added core stability that you would if you were laying on the carriage, okay? But you still get a good ab exercise. And again, all the exercises that you do on the carriage can be adapted on the Micro and the Micro Pro, by the way. So all these exercises you're doing right now for the Micro, we're going to redo them on the Micro Pro so you can see a little bit the difference. But essentially, they are going to be the same, right? So that's why the MicroPulley cables and the Micro cables, they're going to be used the same way, whether you're on the Micro or on the Micro Pro, okay? So look at this. Let's go into a kneeling torso twist. So one of the exercises you guys love to do is the kneeling torso twist. Kneeling torso twist is, again, another exercise that you can do either with the Micro cables or the MicroPulley cables, right? So I'll show you, for example, the kneeling torso twist, okay? So over here, okay, this is an adaptation of the kneeling torso twist using the Micro cables, okay, no problem. There's also a variation that I love to do is the one knee kneeling torso twist. There you go. So you can do this. So again, pretend that the floor is now the carriage, and then you're pulling against it. You can do the exact same thing using the MicroPulley cables, but if you want to use the MicroPulley cables, then you have to change your position on the floor, and you have to come here now. So let's do it. So now we're going to do the same exercises using the MicroPulley cables. So Lacey is going to grab the mat. Now, Lacey has already done this exercise, so she knows where she needs to put herself on the floor. For you at home, it's going to take you 1 or 2 sessions to figure out exactly your placement on the floor, because unfortunately, we do not have any indicias on the floor. The indicias are the marking, right? It's the numbers, it's the rails, it's anything, it's any kind of point of reference to quickly position your body and do the exercise safely, effectively, and efficiently. And then we have tons of indicias in the Lagree world. So over here, she's doing the same 2 exercises again. So if you buy the Micro cables or the MicroPulley cables, you can still do this exercise, but notice how she is not sitting or standing in the same position, right? And that has to do where the tension is coming from, right? She's got to pull away from the tension, right? Now, if we're going to do a kneeling torso twist, so now you say, well, she could do kneeling torso twist on the carriage. That's true. So now let's do a kneeling torso twist on the carriage. But you'll notice that on the carriage, the only thing that she can do is essentially that kneeling torso twist. She won't be able to do the one knee kneeling torso twist. So now over here, she's got her knees wedged between the platform and the ring of fire. So now she's able to do this exercise. Again, for me at 6'4", I would not be able to do this exercise because look at my legs. They're going to drag on the floor. I would have to put so much energy trying to keep my feet up that it's going to change the anatomy of the exercise of the kneeling torso twist for me. So at 6'4", if I want to do this exercise, I have to do it on the floor, either using the Micro cables or the MicroPulley cables. But I would probably use the MicroPulley cables on the back and then give myself plenty of room and align my obliques really with the tension. But now, if Lacey wants to do a one knee kneeling torso twist, she can't because she cannot put her foot forward, right? She's kind of stuck with this exercise. So on the carriage now, she's going to be even more limited. Good? So now let's show you on the Micro Pro. So on the Micro Pro, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to start with a chest opener on the back end. The Micro Pro is about 1/2 inch taller than the Micro, but it shouldn't make any difference. And then Lacey, I'm going to put, we have a black and a white spring. So these cables are identical. They're going to attach to the carriage the exact same way. We have Velcro strap. And then over here, you can see how Lacey can do basically the chest opener. She's on her knees, on the mat. And then the further away she is from the Micro or the Micro Pro, the more tension she's going to have, right? These cables are adjustable. We have extension cables. So if you feel like, you need more length, you can add more length. That's not a problem. So that's the chest opener on the Micro Pro using the Micro cables. Now we'll show you the chest opener on the Micro Pro using the MicroPulley cable. There you go. And so, like I said before, when we designed the Micro Pro, we realized that you love the micro cables. So we made the pads bigger so that you could actually start to do more things with the cables. And then we'll show that to you with some other exercises. So over here, same thing, chest opener. So now you can see how it's a little easier now because of how the pad and the carriage is constructed. It's actually easier for Lacey to stay aligned. Now, probably me at 6'4" over here, I could do this exercise with a little bit more ease because the carriage is sitting a little higher, so my feet are not going to drag so much on the springs. Let's go into the sexy back and the real delts, right? So now over here, Lacey is feeling a little bit more stable than she was on the Micro. And again, I'm not here to talk bad about the Micro. I'm just stating that the evolution from the Micro to the Micro Pro based on how you guys have been using the machine, okay? The Micro is a machine on its own, right? The Micro Pro is definitely not a substitute to the Micro because the Micro Pro is so heavy compared to the Micro. So these two machines are really separate. But you will feel more stable on the Micro Pro, for sure, than the Micro when you do a carriage exercise. Let's go into a real delt movement, right? So on this one, a bit more stable, doing this movement. Very good. And then Lacey, show them the kneeling torso twist. And you'll do fist in this way. And then for the kneeling torso twist, I really like it on the Micro Pro. Now, on that machine, I do it because I can put my knees between the pad and the ring of fire, and I feel actually very comfortable. This is actually amazing. I love doing the kneeling torso twist on this machine. It worked out very well. Very nice. Excellent. And now we'll show you the same exercise using the Micro cables on the back end. So no surprises here. Pretty much, if you can do an exercise using the Micro Pro on the Micro, you can pretty much do it also on the Micro Pro because these machines are very similar. Now notice that you cannot do the one knee kneeling torso twist using the carriage on the Micro. Same thing over here. You will not be able to do the one knee kneeling torso twist on the Micro Pro. But now that you have the Micro cable, you can do the one knee kneeling torso twist, no problem. You good? It's a little tight.
A little heavy.
Oh, maybe we'll take off the spring. There you go.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Yes.
And I think maybe those cables are like, oh, that's just good. Yeah, perfect. So one knee kneeling torso twist. Again, you could do this on the floor, either behind the Micro Pro if you're going to use the Micro cable. Otherwise, we can do it on the floor using the MicroPulley cables. Go ahead and get on both knees over here. So again, kneeling torso twist. So on the Micro Pro, you pretty much have three possibilities. You could do the kneeling torso twist on the carriage using the MicroPulley cables. You could do it on behind the Micro Pro using the Micro cables. Or you could do it side by side with the Micro and then using the MicroPulley cables again. Nice. And then let's show them. We're going to bring the mat and then we'll put it in the middle. And then you can show them the MicroPulley cables, Micro cables. And after that, we'll show you the Froggy. We'll do the Froggy on both machines. You can see how it's done pretty much the same way. And we apologize about the mess. This is another reason why when I shoot my video on Lagree On Demand, usually I don't have any accessories because it triggers me to see the accessories on the floor. Probably from when I was a kid, never cleaning up my room, and I see all my toys around, and it looks like a freaking mess, okay? So when I shoot my videos, I like to shoot them with the least amount of accessories so it looks very clean. Right now, it looks like a little messy with all those cables. But the cables are highly effective at targeting areas of your body that you literally can't without. So I think the cable was a good addition overall to the Micro and the Micro Pro, but you need to understand their use and also their purpose. So over here, now Lacey's doing another version of the kneeling torso twist. Same version as she did on the Micro. So now she's using the MicroPulley cables because now she's in front of the pulley, right? So remember that. If you want to use the MicroPulley cables, but you're standing behind it, it's not going to work. For the MicroPulley cables to work, your body has to be in front. If you want to use the Micro cable, you can't use the Micro cable here. The Micro cable, you have to be behind. So your position is always going to be different. Let's go into a froggy kick. Not a flying froggy kick, okay? She's sick of the flying because we've been shooting a bunch of flying and leaning exercise, and you know, I got to tell you, this one is really strong. All right, froggy. So using using the MicroPulley cable, that's an adaptation. So the cool thing, okay, I would say that the cool thing that you can't get on the Mega or the Mini is the fact here you have unlimited positioning. Literally, imagine that essentially your Micro is on top of the carriage. The entire room is the carriage. And it drives me crazy because sometimes I see a lot of you using the Micro and you're trying to fit yourself on the Micro where in fact you don't have to do this. Just step off the Micro and use the entire floor. The reason these two machines are so low to the ground is so that you can integrate the floor as an additional platform. The floor is not the floor anymore when you do a Lagree workout. It becomes a platform. For many years, I've been thinking about doing like a huge mat, you know, but the mat would have to be enormous to cover the whole periphery of the Micro so that you can use that in class. But look at that. Here, Lacey can be infinitely to the left, infinitely behind. It's like she has the entire floor to play with, okay? And she can get different, by moving a place further away or further closer or further back or further forward, she will target the same muscle differently. And that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have an endless amount of time and I cannot shoot the endless amount of variations using this cable. So I'm hoping that you get the idea. Let's do the same exercise on the back now using the Micro cables. That's what's fantastic. So now we'll do the froggy kick using the Micro cable. And then we'll show that to you as well for the Micro. And then we'll go into the biceps because the biceps are going to be, there's going to be some really cool stuff that I want to show you. So the tension will be different because now here you're only pulling against. Your body is not on the carriage. So the way you feel the exercise will be different. And also the tension, I think you might have to move the mat a little bit to the right to align yourself a little bit more. There you go. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going to have to do is now depending on how the cables are attached, essentially what you want over here is to kind of align yourself with the source. And then so it takes a little while for you to figure out your position on the floor initially. It's not as clear-cut as when you do the exercise on the Mini or the Mega. But now you have the froggy kick with the Micro cable. So now you're behind the Micro Pro, okay? And if you wanted to do the same exercise, again, with the Micro cables, then you would be the MicroPulley cables, and you'll be facing the opposite direction. So this is why when you guys ask me which cable is the best, which one should get, I can't tell. I say get both, honestly. Nice. Perfect. And now let's go into, there's one more exercise I want to show you before we get into biceps, and that's going to be the super lunge. All right, guys, so now we're going to show you the super lunge. So for the super lunge, even at 5'5", she cannot stand on that carriage. The carriage is too small, okay? Only a Smurf could do a super lunge on the carriage, okay? And Moses is going to add that Smurf right there on the carriage, okay? 5'5", 6'4", you need to grab the Micro cable and now you need to be on the back. So Lacey's going to show you this, the adaptation of the super lunge using the micro cables, and that's essentially how you do that. Now, you cannot do this adaptation with the micro pulley cables. Why? Because you need to be centered on the rails, okay? And in between the pulley cables, you cannot be off the rail, and it's going to feel very weird because if I try to do that super lunge right over here, I'll be over here, and my hands will be there. It's going to be, I won't be aligned. So therefore, you cannot do the super lunge using the micro pulley cables. If you want to do an adaptation of the super lunge, either on the micro or the micro pulley or the micro pro, you need the micro cables, okay? But now let's show another exercise. It's going to do standing biceps. So if you want to do standing biceps, and I love the standing biceps, or you can show right here the micro cables.
Oh, it's a little heavy.
It's not going to be the same because on this one, it's going to be, you can do this exercise, but you see how when Lacey curls her arm, you can see how the carries stop over here. That's because it's the wrong alignment. This is the wrong alignment. If Lacey really wants to do a standing bicep curl, she actually needs to use the micro pulley cables. So if you want to do a standing bicep exercise, we call this the giant standing curl, okay? Then you need the micro pulley cables. You cannot do this exercise using the micro cables. I mean, you can try like Lacey just done, but it's not going to be the same. So now there's going to be some exercise. So most of the exercise that you do on Lagree, on demand or Lagree Academy are cross-compatible between each model. But for the cable exercise, most of the cable exercise will be adaptable using the micro pulley cables and micro cables, but there are going to be some exceptions, and now we're dealing with them. So if you want to do this exercise, the standing biceps, I do it all the time when I work out with my team. I love it. It's fantastic. This is an amazing bicep exercise. If you are a bodybuilder, buy the Micro Pro, get the micro pulley cables because you're going to love it. It's going to get you a pump that is amazing. It allows you to have your ears, your shoulders, your elbows, everything aligned. Look at that. But you cannot do this. You cannot do this exercise with the micro cables. And I want to point out something else since we are here comparing between Micro and Micro Pro. Look at Lacey. Look at her stand. No problem. She's got the wide platform over here. No problem. Lacey can do the same exercise, of course, on the Micro, but for the Micro, she'll have to step on the floor because the platform is simply very narrow. Now, she can still try it and do it, but I think she'll be more comfortable with her feet on the floor. So let's go ahead and go on the Micro now. So now we're going to go on the Micro. We're going to do the standing.
Whoop.
So first, you're going to step on the rear platform, and you're going to say that now it's a little bit more wobbly because the foot is not entirely on the pad, okay? So we have a big pad over here. That platform is the size of the Mini and the Mini Pro. And actually, that platform is actually cross-compatible with the Mini and the Mini Pro. Now, Lacey is standing on the platform, but you have the toes are on the pad, the heels on the ring of fire. You know, maybe at 5'5", it's okay. At 6'4", I really feel it because my feet literally just go over the platform. So what I do is I step off and I put my feet on the floor on this one and I do my biceps, right? But again, if you want to do this version of the standing biceps, you need the micro pulley cables. You will not be able to do this with the micro cables. Now there's another exercise too. So another exercise that is great that people love is the laying on the back biceps, right? So I do this a lot in my classes, and I have you lay on your back or sometime on your tailbone. So we're going to show you this variation of the workout now on the Micro. And then for this one, Lacey cannot use the micro pulley cables because now she's behind the Micro. She's going to need the micro cables. And whether she's on the Micro or the Micro Pro doesn't make a difference. You're going to lay flat on your back on this one. So if she wants to do the biceps laying on the back, that's the only possible position for her to do. She cannot do this exercise using the micro pulley cables. Why? Look at the length of the torso. It's already bigger than the platform and the carriage combined. So she cannot lay on the back on the machine. And you're like, well, what about on the side? Well, if she's on the side, she's not going to be aligned, so she's not able to do this exercise. So if you want to do this exercise, the laying on the back biceps, you only can do it with the micro cables. You cannot do it with the MicroPulley cables. But now, let's say you want to do a tailbone biceps, okay? Tailbone biceps, Lacey's going to show you 3 different versions. She's going to sit on the mat, do the biceps. Then she'll do another variation where she's going to sit on the rear platform. And then yet she'll do another variation where she's going to use the carriage. And then she'll use the MicroPulley cables. Look at that. Beautiful. And by the way, I'd much rather have Lacey do the exercise than me, because if I did this, you would lose all faith in the method. Let's go ahead and now have you do the same exercise on the platform. So now, on this one, you can be that. Okay, so maybe not so much, because on this one, it's going to be probably not as effective, because now the cable is a little too long for her. But I kind of want you to start to get the idea of how these movements are basically done, depending on the accessory that you have. So probably the better one is when she's sitting on the tailbone in the back of the machine, not so much on the platform. And now let's do the other one where you're going to sit on the carriage using the MicroPulley cables, right? So the word pulley means that you have the actual pulley, right? The micro cable is just the length. If we put the pulley in it, that's what we talk about, this right over here. So now, no problem. Now she can do the tailbone biceps on the carriage, just like you would on the Mini Pro, the Mega Pro, and the Evo, right over here. Beautiful. The only thing that she wouldn't be able to do is the sequences that I teach on the Mega, the Mini Pro, because the sequences that I teach in class combine exercise where you sit on your tailbone and exercise where you lay on your back. So here she would not be able to do the sequence that I do in class, because she simply cannot lay on her back. Beautiful. Let's do one more, because her legs are shaking right here. I like to make Lacey shake. Nice. Well done. Come over here. Good. Lacey, do you have anything you want to add to this little presentation, since you've been doing the exercise?
I mean, there's definitely different exercises that I prefer. And so that's the problem that I run into when I am creating routines as well, because I can't create the same sequences that I do on the other machines. And I have to pick and choose where I'm going to place people on the machine.
What's limiting everything is really the size of the carriage. If the carriage is much bigger, then you probably wouldn't need the micro cables and could get away with the MicroPulley cables. But here, because of the size of the carriage, you have to really be familiar with the exercises, and also you have to be familiar with what you really like to do. So this is why I decided to shoot as many variations and as many exercises as possible, and then show them to you on Lagree on demand, so that you can make a better decision when you buy the cables. So now to go back to the questions, which cables are better? Again, I cannot answer that questions. What I will say is when you buy the Micro Pro, it comes with the MicroPulley cables. Obviously, if you want to buy the micro cables, you can still add them, okay? I don't think it's very necessary, but there might be, again, some exercise like Lacey is saying that you cannot get with the MicroPulley cables. And then, is it worth the purchase? I don't think they're a couple $100. Is it worth $200 to do this exercise? Might be worth it to you, okay? I don't know. On the micro doesn't come with any cables, so you have to buy everything for the micro. And again, just see how important those exercises are. When I talk to people opening studios, again, a lot of people opening smaller studios, and I always recommend the Micro Pro. But as soon as I recommend the Micro Pro, the question of the cables always comes up. Okay, but can I do this exercise? Can I do that exercise? And so on. And I say, if you guys are going to open a studio, you should look at the session that I just taped with the Micro Pro, Mini Pro, and Mega Pro. This session was identical. Okay, half of the exercises that you'll do on the Micro Pro, the Mini Pro, the Mega Pro, the Evo Pro, the Evo X, the Mini X, the Mega X, the blah, 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 blah. All these machines, half of the repertoire is cross-compatible. Standing on your thighs, skating, runner's lunge, escalator lunge, express lunge, side plank, and so on, okay? The exercises that are not so cross-compatible are usually going to be the cable exercise, But if you know anything about me, is I'm trying to move a little away from that for the class environment because as you saw already here, and Lacey knows all these machines, she used all the stuff, it still takes a little time for you to kind of set up yourself up on the floor. So for at home, I have no issues with the cables, but for a studio, I think that the cables sometimes can lose the flow of the class. And for me, the flow of the class is paramount, you know, because you are working out, you're sweating, you're shaking, you're into your body, and now you have to interrupt the whole session because you have to attach the cables and you have to now to find your position on the floor and you're not sure exactly where to put, and the floor is all white or all black or whatever, and so there's not really any reference. So that's my hesitation with the cable exercise, you know, in class. If you have any questions, recommendations, suggestions, concern, blah, 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 just email us, info@lagreefitness.com. And again, my name is Sébastien and Lacey. Thank you.
Thank you.